Hello, my name is Geogen and welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we have a viewer replay in the form of SerbianKnight in his T34-85, a Soviet tier 6 medium tank, the other of course being the A43, but this was the first and this is the better known one. Now, SerbianKnight in his email tells me that he really loves his T34-85 and I can see that this is confirmed by 3 stars on the barrel here. Pressing control, that normally just brings up the mouse rather than making the minimap larger. But he's in a tier 6 maximum game on Siegfried line, sees a shot available on the looks and pumps the last shell into him for 96 damage, securing the first kill. Now, I'm not really a huge fan of the T34-85. It's not a bad vehicle, it's just I don't know, really, when I played it years ago, the first time around anyway, I thought it was, well, I didn't really know what to do with it. I was a new player back then and I didn't really get on with it that well. It's not a bad vehicle and we're going to see why that is in a moment. It has good DPM, maybe not as good as the Cromwell perhaps. Cromwell has a faster firing gun with less damage per shot, whereas this has a longer reload but higher damage per shot as a trade-off with that vehicle. In terms of penetration characteristics, with the AP rounds we've got 144 penetration and 180 average damage, and the APCR is 194. So the APCR you're going to need for those tier 8 games definitely, but for this kind of matchup he should just be fine with his predominant AP rounds, which as you see he's loaded 31, 32 I believe. So he's not going to be spamming loads and loads of APCR like you do see some players at this tier with their Cromwells and other tier 6 mediums, probably because they want to get the better form of flight characteristics in the APCR shells. Now I don't know if you noticed there, but when he tracked that KV-85 he took a double take on him because he thought he was going to get shot still, but he realised the gun was round the corner and he finished him off. That was a really nice bit of situational awareness, and this is a really cheeky spot between the rubble of this building here. Pumping in 3 shots into that M6, or rather trying to, connecting 1, but that's still quite a nice bit of damage and that M6 doesn't know where he is. A low caliber high explosive round there, low caliber perhaps. I didn't hear a penetration marker, I just saw a red hit. So I assume that was high explosive. Maybe from a Sherman over there, firing 76mm high explosive, because if he was firing the 105mm, it probably would have done a lot more damage. The armor profile of this vehicle, or just missing the shot there, can he reverse back? Nah, he's down. But the armor profile of this vehicle, 45mm of sloped armor on all sides of the hull, and I think 90 at the front of the turret, which can be quite effective sometimes. Especially at this top tier sort of game. OI experimental, very dangerous tank there with that horrible gun it gets at that tier. But he's no problem for SerbianKnight, and SerbianKnight's on 5 kills. M6 approaching, or rather with his side available to us, and side on the M6 is very, very poor. Very bad indeed. The American heavy side armor from T1 heavy all the way up really is very bad. That's the American thing, they have bad side and rear armor, but they have very good turret front armor, and some of them have good hull armor as well. T1-85 I'm on about here, and possibly the M103. He's been spotted again. Few enemies remain, 2 artillery, couple of heavy tanks, 3 heavy tanks in, 1 tank destroyer, and if that's a DW2 or... oh no, they're all heavy tanks other than the Hellcat. But Dickomax takes out the Griller before he can even react to it. And there's a Sturmpanzer on your left, Sturmpanzer, there it is, he sees him, and that shot was ridiculous RNG there. He locked onto him, fired it, and the shot went at a strange angle straight into the no bounds, out of bounds area. Goes for the ram, takes a horrendous amount of damage in the process, but he kills them. That's the main point. He gets his turret ring knocked out, his driver, and his commander knocked out as well. He decides to heal his commander, and probably that's the best decision as you want some view range rather than maximum speed. And you can see the speed is impacted slightly, but not that bad. Still going at 45 odd kilometers an hour on this flat terrain. So good decision making there to put back the commander. 4 enemies remain now. SerbianKnight is on 6 kills, so he's got his top gun. KV-1S not paying attention. Another bit of poor RNG or server lag or server ridicule, I don't know. But the shell doesn't connect. That one does, and takes off about a third of that KV-1S's hit points. KV-1S is obviously a shell of what it once was in patches gone by. Used to be tier 6 if players out there remember. Well, most players who probably watch this will do. Newer players obviously won't have to deal with the fear that was the KV-1S at that tier. Another good shot in. The KV-1S is trying to side scrape, but SerbianKnight puts a shot into his front upper plate rather than the side armor. KV-2 round the corner. KV-2 just fires, kills the Dicker Max from earlier. He tracks him. And KV-2 repairs, obviously. Gets another shell in. And he pulls back. He doesn't really want to get hit by that. Goes for a very cheeky shot there, but doesn't manage to penetrate it. Falling back now in order to remain hidden from the KV-2's 152mm of pain. As that poor T67 just found out. But this means the KV-2 is reloading. Unfortunately for SerbianKnight, he is now around a piece of rubble. And the situation isn't good. That KV-2 is on 5 kills. Hellcat's also on 3, and the other 2 enemies have a kill as well. KV-1S gets one shot in, KV-1S misses, and he sets him on fire, takes him down. And I'm not sure if SerbianKnight thinks his tracks have been blown off, or he's just waiting for people to come along, but he waits for his radio to be repaired, which was knocked out again after being rammed. Churchill tries to get a shot into his back, manages to miss, and the Churchill gets what's coming to him. Reloads a high explosive round now. KV-2 behind him, very, very close not to die there. He loads a high explosive round in anticipation for that Hellcat, turning around to deal with that KV-2 now. He knows he's just fired and he reloads AP to make sure he can penetrate. Can he kill this KV-2 before he reloads? Gets a good old high roll in, 206 damage, 142 remaining hit points. He should be able to kill him. There it is. He takes the kill, and he's on 9 kills. It's just that Hellcat left. Hellcat was last spotted around the corner. Only 2 minutes of this battle remain, and there's the Hellcat, and it's just not good enough, is it? He gets taken down after doing 3,000 damage and securing 9 kills. So, commiserations, SerbianKnight, you did all that you could in that match. I don't think there's anything else you could have done, and you took a lot of damage from that artillery, but you still managed to carry on fighting after that. So, let's just take a look at the post-game stats. So here we are with SerbianKnight's post-game results on the Siegfried Line Assault game that we just watched. A mastery game, unsurprisingly. Bruiser, Arsonist, Duelist, 5 for effect, 33,000 credits, 1,500 experience. Standard account, and this doesn't look like it was a ×2 first win a day. Bradley Walters medal, high caliber, and top gun. In terms of damaging enemies, here we are. All of these guys were damaged. This guy was spotted, or rather, he got some assistance damage on the Hellcat, who unfortunately took him down at the end. But regardless, a huge amount of damage on several different vehicles here. Well, looking at the team score, top of the team on base experience. Look at this base experience in comparison. Damage, a huge amount of damage, and 9 kills. The Hellcat on the enemy team that we just talked about came top on his team with 6 kills, 1,100 base, and 2,500 damage of his own, so well played. 24 shots fired, 20 hits, and 18 penetrations. Good accuracy and decision making to fire the right type of ammo. Well, you were going to fire high explosive, but you didn't have the opportunity, but you had the awareness and you didn't just spam a bunch of APCR. Still made 24,000 credit profit, but that's probably not going to feel that great after almost winning a game which was quite ridiculous, to be honest, in terms of how much you had to do in order to try and win it. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed. I certainly enjoyed watching this T34-85, and I think I might have to get a little bit better in it, as it is certainly a capable vehicle, as we've seen from SerbianKnight play. But thank you for sending it in, and as always, I've been Geogen, and I'll see you chaps and chapettes in the next one.